Hello and welcome back to the Eck Attack Podcast. As always, I'm your host, the inexplicable process by which Wakanda decides its monarchs, Jay. And doing this always is my co-host, the bastard children they leave behind in America, Z. How are we doing today, Z?
Pretty good. Not so bad. We both came out of vacations.
We did. My vacation was a little bit longer, but we both had vacations all the same.
We're refreshed. This should be the peak form. We've had nothing but rest before this show.
You say that, but my teeth are fucking killing me, my man.
Yeah, well, my teeth are fine, so...
My teeth are fine.
So
fuck off. I'm cutting that out.
All right. So...
We watched What If and last episode of Bad Batch.
Let's talk about What If, because that's new. It's like totally new.
Okay.
So, this first episode, and I said this to you when we were watching it, I think it kind of worked really well as a first episode because it actually, among, I think, some of these upcoming episodes, it's actually probably going to end up being one of the least sort of significant changes. Because, honestly, nothing against it. I should say, I did enjoy it and all, and I thought they did good stuff. But it seemed to have not too much appreciable effect on the plot that it was Captain Carter, right? Instead of, like, Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Yeah. It kind of had the same beats with slight changes.
The episode was pretty much just Captain America, the First Avenger.
But Captain Carter, the First Avenger.
Yeah, it really was. Again, not to take anything away from it. Like I said, I think that it was a good choice maybe as the first episode because of that.
To ease you in. Because, like,
yeah, exactly.
What If, as a concept, is just kind of weird.
Exactly. The intro, the voiceover, like, from Owatu and everything, I think this eased you into the concept of of what If is going to be in a way that wasn't super hard to wrap your head around.
And I think as the episodes are going to go on, I think they're just going to get wilder. Mm-hmm. So because they'll like be like, well, here's one that's kind of grounded, and then they'll do like as we go on, it's going to get more and more like crazy and off the rails because you're already kind of on board. Understand? Because if they just did like the Party Thor one, I don't even understand that one. Like I'm like, what is the what if scenario in that one?
Yeah, that's still one I don't have a grasp on at all.
I'm excited for the there's gonna be one. I guess, is this a spoiler? I guess spoilers again.
I guess spoiler, but like these aren't
really,
really
real bad.
But like these aren't really spoiling anything anyways. Other than I guess the episodes themselves to an extent, but like these aren't gonna have
far-reaching consequences. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that I'm excited for like the Vision and Ultron's body with the Infinity Stone.
That's on the poster. I mean, we don't have any inside knowledge on this shit other than the trailers and posters ourselves, I don't think. So I feel like it's fair game. But
until I capture Kevin Feige in a big net.
Exactly. So yeah, on the poster there's the Ultron. Or I guess Vision. I mean, I guess we don't know, but like it's probably just that like Ultron succeeds in using Vision as his new body. Because that's what obviously Vision was
designed for.
And
then he just gets all the Infinity Stones. Because he'd probably really powerful and probably be able...
Yeah, there's all kind of trippy ones. There's like that one where Spider-Man is wearing
Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah, he's got the cloak of levitation and stuff. They're definitely going to get way more out there than this one, which, again, essentially the plot of this episode was just the plot of Captain America, the First Avenger, mostly unchanged, at least broad strokes-wise, right? There's a couple big ones, but, like, the differences are kind of minute in that, I mean, like, this is all we're going to get of this universe, I would say. So, like, Bucky wasn't captured to become the Winter Soldier, right? That is a difference for this, but also that's not really, there's not going to be any repercussions for that because I don't think we're going to see much of this universe. But I think it was good.
I think that's an important thing to remember, I think, going forward, is that each of these what if scenarios are completely separate from the other. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that may trip some people up who aren't familiar, is that going forward, everything is working under the assumption that everything that we know of that has happened stays the same up until the break. Like, in all the other episodes, they're not working under the assumption that Peggy Carter is the super soldier from World War II. Of course not. Like, they're all just going to reset, in a sense. I'm a little bummed that my theory wasn't right. Because when we watched the trailer, when it first came out, I say episode 4 or 3 or... My memories, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You can go, again, listeners, as you do every week before an episode, you listen to all the previous episodes to refresh, in case we do callbacks. So you'll know, and you'll email me. And if you don't, you get -5 Eck Attack points or something. I don't know. But anyway, besides the stupid tangent I'm on, is that I thought that Doctor Strange would be shown all these realities by Owatu to prepare him to handle it in Multiverse of Madness, which still, in a sense, could occur.
I was going to say.
But I thought that would start out that way. I thought that'd be like...
It could end that way.
Yeah, that's, again, first episode.
That's as good a time as any to bring up that it's been rumored this week or since, or maybe even before this episode actually fully came out, that Haley Atwell will be in
Multiverse of
Madness as Captain Carter.
There are so many fucking people in this movie.
Yeah.
I swear, this is definitely just going to be... I know we joked about it in episode 5, the one that featured Kang, about how, like, because Loki's in this movie. It's going to be, like, Avengers, like, 4.5. It's damn well going to be. There's many people.
I got to imagine, even if she is in it, she will probably have a smaller...
Yeah, I imagine.
...role. And that's something that they've been talking about with... Or, I don't know, when I say they. It's been theorized and discussed among...
certain communities.
People in the community, like... that maybe the scope of Far From Home as well, sorry, not Far From Home, No Way Home as well, will be a similar thing where, like, we all got super excited about the possibility of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in this movie, and they very well may be still, even though, like, it's kind of gone back and forth where people are a lot less like, certain of that possibility at this point.
At least, I mean, I've saw something today that Tom Holland was like, that's not happening. Like,
yeah, I've seen it, but that's, like, usually the kind of, like, the shaky sort of footing for stuff like this is when you have a rumor and like you bring it up to like people involved and they're like, I couldn't possibly say, which usually they do for whatever reason. I've said before, it surprises me that they don't just like the studios, whoever doesn't just get them to lie.
Well, that's literally what happened with Jonathan Majors. Like someone asked him if he's in Loki, and he goes, I couldn't possibly tell you that. I couldn't possibly know if I am, which means of course you are because you're Kang.
Yeah, which I think maybe they've gotten wise to that, so maybe they do just let people lie now. So they're just like, hey, Tom Holland, you suck at you in particular suck at keeping secrets. Just lie if they ask you and say no. But regardless, people are thinking maybe even if they aren't, maybe they will just be in for a couple minutes apiece as like cameos in like a dimension hopping kind of sequence. And I think the same thing will apply here. I think Loki and Scarlet Witch probably have to be.
Well, Scarlet Witch for sure because she's directly. I think she's going to be like.
I think they're likely to be pretty central to the actual plot of the thing. But I think a lot of these other characters that have been floating around for Multiverse of Madness could very well just be like brief cameos, and that would serve just as well, probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like Captain Carter doesn't need to be in this.
It doesn't really fit. She's not magic.
Yeah.
Like the only person who
they'll just really be like, oh, we're in her dimension really quick. And I think that's probably why they showed at the end of this episode, maybe her being brought to the modern day. So like, if they jump to the modern day of Captain Carter's universe, she can be active as an Avenger, say, in the same way that like Captain America is, right?
Right. But
just more about the episode specifically. I guess I know I kept saying that it's not that different. The big difference, I suppose, is the Hydra Stomper. That's a really fun addition.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot.
It's just like this like World War II era. It's just an Iron Man suit, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
like a Ironmonger or a Hulkbuster-esque, powered by the Tesseract.
Super fun. And Steve Rogers is in it, which is cool. So he's like still gets to be around. Pretty neat.
They do little callbacks to like when they go on the train, they replicate the train scene, and Captain Carter saves Bucky. He's like, oh, you almost pulled off my arm there.
Yeah, there's a couple of things like that, which are like shot for shot little things that are taken. There's the obviously the beginning when they're doing giving him the serum, that's pretty direct. But like the scene when when Captain Carter breaks them out of the prison camp situation there, and they replicate that scene where they barge in and they're all shooting into the
distance.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. I think so. I'm going to talk about the cast, which I don't know if we ever discussed this, but it has been revealed for like a lot of the voice cast has been revealed for a lot of the episodes, and by and large, they've just gotten most everyone. I think the big notable absences are obviously shown in this episode. Is Chris Evans is not going to be doing Captain America in any of his appearances, right?
Right.
Robert Downey Jr.
He's not Iron Man.
He's not Iron Man like we saw in the trailer, and I think maybe Benedict Cumberbatch is not
Doctor Strange.
Not Doctor Strange, but other than that, like most of the ones you can think of
are
reprising the roles. In particular, obviously ones who are still active in the MCU. So like
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah. So he recorded new stuff for this.
Not all of it was great.
Well, I did have that thought, like not to drag anyone, because I'm sure they did their best, but the I think a number of, I don't even think to be, again, not to be a dick or anything, but I don't think Haley Atwell was stupendous as a voice actor, and like if anything, that just shows that like voice acting's a genuine skill.
Yeah,
like it's not a thing you can just do because you're a good actor or a good personality. Like sometimes for a lot of kids movies and shit, they'll just get random like famous like singers and various celebrities to just do voices. It doesn't always work because like it's a genuine skill you have to have, even beyond just acting. It's a different thing. That's why it's different. Like So yeah, I kind of agree. Again, it's whatever. It's all fine. I mean, it's not like it took me out, but I did notice that as well. But yeah, Sebastian Stan definitely recorded new stuff, obviously. Haley Atwell for sure. Oh, so they didn't get Hugo Weaving, obviously, but they did get
the guy from Infinity War.
Yeah, Ross Marquand, I want to say he's called. And he was the voice of Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame, which I thought that was a good get. I was like, he wasn't like perfect in this, whereas in like in Endgame and Infinity War, I feel like you can't even tell.
Yeah, I really thought it was Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, a lot of people did. Like it's literally indistinguishable. Whereas this one, it kind of saw the cracks a little more. I even was at one point wondering, like, maybe if this was like a production thing, like due to the timeline, I wonder if maybe people weren't recording stuff like from home or like because like a COVID situation maybe. So I thought maybe that'll be it. Maybe it'll come out or maybe it's even been said that that's a factor, because that would kind of explain some of this, because it does sometimes feel like they just didn't let them try a second time on some of these lines.
Like Bucky just goes, Steve. And it's like, well, you couldn't do a second take, or you just put a little bit more emphasis or like emotion into it.
And then we got Jeffrey Wright, obviously he's the Watcher, but he's not returning. He's obviously he's like a returning role in this one. Dominic Cooper they got back for Howard Stark. I thought he was great, and I noticed that. I was like, oh, they actually got him, which is cool. I'm looking at the cast here. They have Stanley Tucci for Erskine. I think the only dialogue he says in this is directly just taken from
the movie.
Yeah, because he's just like, we're gonna start, and then he's like, Miss Carter, don't you think you'd be better in the booth? Which are both just lines from First Avenger. So I think he's just using them again. But again, it's still cool they used him. They also have Toby Jones as Arnim Zola here, and if that's true, which I think it seems like he would also have to be doing new lines. They had Bradley Whitford again as Colonel Flynn, which is cool. We talked about we were watching it. They during the attack on the experiment scene there, they killed Tommy Lee Jones's character, I think, because there's no way they're going to get him to come do it.
Yeah.
And then
it's like, I'm too busy doing Men in Black 5.
Yeah, that's all the ones I got on here. Oh, wait, there's guest star. Oh, Samuel Jackson appeared to be in it.
Yeah, he was at the very end.
And I was like, again, like, I guess maybe this is a testament to how iffy some of this is, because usually it takes you out when you're watching something and you expect a certain voice to be, and then it's not. There was a couple times in this where I felt that way, where I was like, oh, they couldn't get whoever, but it just was. Like, at first I was like, oh, I guess they couldn't get Samuel Jackson. But
I think
it was him.
No, it definitely
was. And the same for Jeremy Renner at first. You're like, okay.
I feel like they only get a couple lines, and they don't say a lot of words. Like, they just say, like, a sentence. And and there's not enough of the sentence to get their, like, natural cadences of their voice, like how they speak as the characters or just as themselves. But one thing I will say about this show is that the animation's pretty good, but like when they pull in on the mouth flaps, the cracks start to show. I'm like, these mouth flaps aren't quite syncing to what I'm hearing.
I think the action is excellent.
Oh, it's very fluid and like interesting. I really like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Captain Carter, I should say, kills so many people.
Yeah, that was something I think maybe because it was animation as well, they didn't feel like they needed to even pull as much punches, maybe. Because, yeah, I feel like you directly see her kill more people than even he does in the movie. Because, like, obviously, when we said this, like, it's not a big deal because they're literally Nazis.
Just Nazis, like the worst kind of Nazis.
And it is literally like a war scenario. It's not just, killing henchmen or whatever.
She's not killing for killing's sake.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I feel like it was in some ways, ironically enough, like more graphic. Again, I feel like because it was a cartoon, they didn't feel like they needed to pull punches. And, like, sometimes they did the thing of, like, oh, we'll cut away before we actually show them being shot. Like, they're not showing people riddled with bullets, but, like, there was that scene where Bucky turns down a hallway.
With Dum Dugan or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, he also returned. I'm sorry, I didn't mention him. But, yeah, that also was a returning voice. He is Neil McDonough. But, yeah, they just turned down a hallway and, like, see a couple Hydra guys, and then, like, it cuts away like a second, just the instant before they open up, and then they're like in the door, and it's like, oh, so they just gunned those guys down
in cold blood and just watched them die.
She explodes so many people. She punches that like helicopter, or not helicopter, sorry, but she like destroys that plane's propellers, and then like punches out the pilot, so he just plummets to Earth, presumably.
Falls Or maybe hits another plane on the way down.
She throws that motorcycle at the other motorcycle, and then they explode.
She she throws a grenade into a tank.
Yeah. There's a lot of grenades. It's I don't know. Yeah, I think
she punches that guy's head into the ground, and cracks the pavement so he's dead.
He's got to be dead. Yeah, I thought the action was great though. Like all that stuff looks really good. You're right. I think they don't do like the fine talking stuff great, but I suppose if I had to pick one or the other,
I'm picking action.
Definitely pick the action. Yeah, because especially for this, I can't imagine there's going to be in any of these episodes, a ton of sit-down, talky bits.
Yeah, I think all be big action.
Like, even more so than most Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah, because we already know these characters. It's all supposed to be different.
Exactly.
So what I was going to say, now that it's kind of tying the Doctor Strange thing I was thinking about, is that what do you think of the possibility that Uatu will appear in Multiverse?
Yeah, we talked about it when we were watching, right? I was like, I think there's a good chance Jeffrey Wright will be in it.
Yeah. As Uatu.
Probably like sort of,
not like a huge role. Probably just like a Doctor Strange. You got to do this. Well, no,
for sure. I was just trying to say like CGI maybe or somehow some because. Or they could. I mean,
just put a bald cap on him.
Give a shit. Yeah, if you just had him there, and at the very least do up the eyes or something. Like, don't just have him be up there.
I think it'd be good if they were like they put him in the outfit and they gave him a bald cap and they just
he's bald anyways. I think.
Oh really? Oh, that's perfect then. Or just make CG put dots around his eyes and just CGI his eyes to be like
big
pure white
and the pure white or contact. Yeah. I kind of agree. When I think about it, if he was just in the costume, I don't give a shit. Or if they did a whole CGI head where he's like he's got the
bobblehead man.
Bobblehead man. That's fine too. But yeah, I think there's a good chance he'll be in it. Or maybe not. I mean, maybe they should. But again, we had that theory because of Multiverse of Madness and Loki doing multiverse. And in this episode, he uses the term multiverse to describe what's going on. I think it's probably not a coincidence. Because, I think we talked about this, a couple weeks ago last week? Or a few weeks ago, I guess, when we talked about the end of Loki. Is at first, I at least thought, what if? I was like, I guess it's just going to totally be, off. And because in the comics, it really is.
There's no consequence to it.
But, because of the couple things that have preceded this and are following this, it kind of feels like maybe, they are going to actually tie it into everything. Yeah. Because the MCU has made such an effort towards that, right? Yeah. Everything in the MCU thus far is connected.
To build to the multiverse. Yeah.
This would be the only thing that wasn't if it turns out to not be. So I think maybe it is. In obviously in a roundabout way. And not in that this is all canon to the main universe, but just because of the multiverse shenanigans that are going to happen, I think some of these characters are going to appear maybe.
Yeah, and they're going to address the fact that, hey, all these stuff keeps happening. Mm-hmm. And they might, that change might give, a big speech all the universes are collapsing, or, Wanda, what's going on here? And Wanda's be like, nah, I don't know. I'm using chaos magic.
But yeah, Doctor Strange and Uatu in particular, interact a lot in the comics. I've told you a couple times, did I mention this on the show at one point, maybe? I think during Civil War...
I don't remember. You might have, but just repeat it again if you haven't.
During Civil War, the comic Civil War, Uatu goes to Doctor Strange.
I thought it's the other way. I thought Doctor Strange goes to the moon with Uatu. Because Uatu can't... I thought he can't leave the moon.
I think he projects. I think he astral projects as well.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I think Doctor Strange is meditating, and sort of Uatu draws him to the moon and is like, "Hey, Doctor Strange, I'm sitting here watching the Civil War happen. Why aren't you helping in the Civil War? What are you doing?" And Doctor Strange is like, "I can't. I know too much. If I were to try to engage in this, bad things would happen. I'm not supposed to. I don't think. I know too much things."
He's too powerful.
Yeah, but I think I've talked about this before. He's not. It's not that Doctor Strange is that powerful, just literal power wise, but it is stuff like that. It's the knowledge he has and the abilities. It's not that he could necessarily. He's too powerful and that he could beat up all the Avengers at once in a fight. But it's the things he knows and things he could affect.
The things he understands. Yeah, being the Sorcerer Supreme.
And so there's that, and then there's in 1602, which is that. It actually kind of ties into this because it's sort of a whole extended what if sort of comic, a miniseries. In that one, Uatu reaches out to Doctor Strange because he's like, "Hey, this is wrong. You got to fix it. I'm not supposed to." He says that obviously for anyone uninitiated with Uatu. In obviously the end of this episode, What If here, he's like, "This is what I do. I watch." He says it, but just so it's emphasized. That is his whole thing. He can't engage. He cannot interact.
He cannot. He won't.
Yeah. And he's also like one of many Watchers, and that's what they do.
It's like a council of Watchers.
Yeah.
But like as his comics, he does interfere. Like traditionally in the comics that you tie back to Fantastic Four, he's the one who warns them that Galactus is coming. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, hey, he's gonna come. Like you better get ready. And the artists are like, oh, Watcher, you can't do that. Like the whole point is that you don't. You're just supposed. They basically record history. They're basically historians. Like they observe planets.
Yeah.
And
they're supposed to be. But Uatu in particular has become attached to Earth, and so when they really need it, he steps in. And
until Nick Fury kills him in Fear itself.
He does.
Spoilers.
Well, now Nick Fury's the Watcher.
Right, and Bucky's the man on the wall. Moon. That's pretty cool.
And so in 1602, just to tie back, that's I guess spoilers for 1602. Uatu is like, hey, I know, because they're sort of like omnipotent and omniscient. Like that's kind of the thing, is that they could easily help and affect things if they wanted. They just shouldn't, and they're not supposed to. But he's like, hey, I know what's supposed to happen. This isn't right. All these superheroes, because like it's kind of revealed that essentially the Marvel superheroes are sort of an essential element of the universe. And so when I won't spoil it too much, but when a certain event happens in 1602, it sort of jumpstarts the age of heroes too early.
Like 400 years too early.
And so like Daredevil and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four all start appearing in like
Europe.
Yeah, in Europe, they start, like, developing, or I can't think of the word, but they just all start coming to be because stuff got kickstarted a little too early. Mm-hmm. And because they're, like, the heroes are this essential, like, aspect of the world, they start coming, and Uatu's like, this isn't right. Like, I know you guys aren't supposed to come yet. I know what's supposed to happen, and this isn't it. So, Doctor Strange, you gotta fix it. Here's what you gotta do. And I'm not usually supposed to tell people, but I'm gonna have to tell you.
Yeah, this is important. I'll watch later, but this is like fabric of reality type shit here, man.
So I would not be surprised at all if he ends up being in Doctor Strange, because that's kind of his vibe. That's kind of his helping out. Doctor Strange in particular. If it was anyone else, which I guess obviously it is, because he hasn't appeared in anything else yet, but.
Well, technically he appeared. Well, technically the Watcher's first appearance is in Guardians 2.
Yes.
With Stan Lee cameo.
He could be among them. He could have been one of those couple, but yeah, that's kind of it though.
I mean,
I guess we've covered. Yeah, we've sort of covered a lot of the like
meta.
The sort of generic stuff about this show. Stuff like I said, I really like like how the voiceovers are and how he like introduced the scenario. That's cool. I hope that's how they do it every week, right? It's like, here's the choice. Like this is the one choice right here. That'd be a cool way to do it, but
I don't think so, because I feel like some of the titles might not be very clear. So if they go, okay, this is how it's supposed to happen, and this is what changes, and this is why this happens.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's going to be constant. I like him. I think he's a good voice for the Watcher.
I think so too. It's got a nice like vibe to him.
But yeah. Something I wanted to talk about. I guess I will be proven right or wrong as early as next week. But I think maybe, in addition to this Captain Carter one being one of the, again, kind of more straightforward ones that it would be easy to ease into, it's also got to be, I thought, chronologically one of the first, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So I had the thought that maybe they're kind of going to do them in order, sort of one to correspond with about every movie. Yeah, was my thought. So like this one, even though Captain America: The First Avenger is not the first MCU movie, it's sort of chronologically the first one. And so then, I guess my thought was if we get the Iron Man one next week, then I will be vindicated. Which we know we're getting at least one Iron Man one.
I think there's two.
I think there's two as well, and I wonder how that's going to play out, because we know there's the one where
Killmonger saves him. That's in the trailer.
Is in the trailer, but we also know that there's one where he ends up on Sakaar for whatever.
Oh, then there's actually, I've heard that there's a third one related to Iron Man.
Which one are you talking about?
I've heard that there's one where Black Widow kills him.
In, like, Iron Man 2?
Yeah.
See, but, like, wonder if those kind of work. So maybe one is Iron Man 1, one is Iron Man 2.
And one is Iron Man 3?
I suppose that's
or one is, like, a Civil War thing?
Or, yeah, not even. Maybe. That's interesting.
Right.
Okay, maybe then. Or, obviously, any of those could be together. Like, I suppose maybe in the Killmonger one, somehow he also ends up on Sakaar. That one I'm also only basing off of a Lego set. I don't think I've seen any trailer or other material for it other than the Lego set where he has... It's a Lego set of an Iron Man armor that's like this Sakaarian. I think it's what it's called, like Sakaar Iron.
Do you know how many episodes this is?
Last time I checked, the only thing I could find is that they said at least 10.
Oh, so it's probably just me 10.
Or something to that effect.
I feel like if it's any more than 10, it starts to cut into like Miss Marvel. Because I don't think Miss...
Oh, like overlap? Yeah,
Yeah.
we still are supposed to, like...
Get Miss Marvel.
And Hawkeye.
Well, we know Hawkeye's coming out at the end of November. And I don't think...
Okay, so maybe Hawkeye will just start this year and then...
What I think is going to happen, I think... Because, what is it? What's 10 weeks from now? That's what, the middle of October?
Yeah, about.
So that probably gives them enough time to do, like, a most of Miss Marvel. And then...
This says 9, so...
Oh, so it'd probably just be...
Probably 9 then.
Yeah, probably the beginning of October. And then they can...
If it's only 9, I feel like we probably could most all of those at this point.
It's the Gamora one, Party Thor.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to, I'm just saying.
We could. Well, I've named 2. We've got 1. So we'll see how it shakes out. We'll probably name more as we get through them.
There's the Gamora one, yeah. Obviously this one. There's Kara, man. There's a few
Ultron, all that stuff.
The zombies one.
But speaking of Miss Marvel, there has been a rumor that they've changed her abilities from the comics. So originally in the comics, she has rubber powers, pretty much.
She's just got Mr. Fantastic powers, pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless I'm incorrect. I mean, she uses them in different ways. Like
I wouldn't say she has Mr. Fantastic powers. I would say she has... Now, Fred, I'm going to do a little bit of One Piece on you. Anyone's familiar with One Piece, she's a bit of Monkey D. Luffy powers, because she doesn't... Like, Mr. Fantastic kind of just stretches like a Gumby. Kind of just his body stretches. But she makes her, like, limbs bigger and, like, makes them longer. Like, but her central body doesn't really change.
I mean...
From what I've seen, at least.
All I was saying is I think that's just I think that's just kind of like an artistic choice. Like, they just wanted... I think I do agree that her powers present in a different way.
Right.
But I don't know if, physically speaking, there's a difference.
Oh, no, I don't think they're like... If they're like, well, this one uses prions and this one uses blah, blah, blah.
I don't even... Not even that specific, but I'm saying I think her thing is mostly just that I get what you mean. Like, they definitely kind of represent them different ways in the comics and stuff. But I think her powers are mostly just that. Same as like Elastigirl or whoever. I get what you mean though. She seems to do more like enlarging maybe than just straight up stretchying sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the Avengers video game from a couple years ago.
Isn't she the main character?
Yeah, she is the main character too.
She's like a superhero fanboy.
To my
which is
chagrin, I find her kind of annoying in that game, and somewhat just generally. She's not for me. Like, it's fine. Like, she's one of those characters who I'm glad she exists and all. She's just not really my kind of deal, which is fine. But in that game, she even can get, like, big. Like, she gets big.
Just grows?
She just grows. Sort of like I guess, like, Giant Man, kind of? Like, she just makes herself entirely larger. Which I don't feel like that's something Mr. Fantastic can do, so...
No, I don't
maybe
think
she
so.
does have everything going on. But I do get what you mean. She likes doing that thing where, like, she makes her legs long and she's, like...
And her fists real big?
Or, like, yeah. Her fists real big. But then also, she does, like, one of her things in that game is she just, like, will, like, fling her arms out to, like, attack you at range and stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, the rumor, or is it like a set? Is it
it's a leaked picture? It's like
a set picture.
It's a leaked picture. I think it's a drawing, I believe.
Okay, where she's using like some kind of cosmic.
It's like pink. It's like she's holding up one arm and there's a pink aura around her
pinky
fist.
Purple like aura, like a Captain Marvel has.
Yeah,
like she's using some kind of cosmic-y energy power, which to my knowledge is nothing she really has at all in the comics, which I think, I mean, I'm not super, like I said, she's not really my favorite character, so I'm not super passionate about it one way or the other, but I think I kind of prefer that.
I'm of two minds of it, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer it in the fact that she's going to be in the second Captain Marvel movie, so I'm like, that makes sense.
Kind of a
that they introduce her, and then she gets her own powers, and then she's in the other movie, but it wouldn't make sense if she's, like, teaming up with Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel can breathe in space and, like, destroy big battleships, and she can just, ooh, look at me, my hand is bigger, and I can punch a bad guy.
Well, and Monica Rambeau, for that matter, right? Because that's what the Marvels is rumored to be.
Oh, yeah, right. With her...
all three of them. And, like, yeah, if she did just have her traditional stretchy powers, she would be very significantly outclassed.
But I do also hope that their powers all kind of act differently. Because Monica Rambeau can see energy, which I think is interesting.
I already do.
Yeah. So I just wonder how they're going to differentiate her cosmic powers. But what the flip side of that is that clearly, now we're going to say it, the Young Avengers, say it with me everyone, I know you all said it at home together as I did, is that if she can just use these Captain Marvel-esque powers, I feel like we're kind of getting too many people who are, like, real strong.
That's a good point.
Because... we've already assumed we're going to get Hulkling from Secret Invasion, and he's a super duper Skrull or whatever the fuck, and he can shapeshift even more than they can. and we're getting America Chavez, Miss America, who can fly and has like super strength and can shoot energy and can like jump through dimensions. That's why she's in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, but like I feel like we can't have a bunch of these like cosmic powerhouses and also just
even
Kate
Wiccan.
Bishop, Hawkeye. Yeah, Wiccan especially. Wiccan again, who can do magic on the level of Scarlet Witch when he gets older.
Yeah, Wiccan is like kind of I guess an unknown quantity in the MCU as of right now, just because of the way that Scarlet Witch works in the MCU and all. So I guess it's kind of a moot point. But in the comics, at least, Wiccan is just real good at magic in the same way, not necessarily as much as the way Scarlet Witch is, but more the way Doctor Strange is. Like, he just knows magic very well. He has obviously innate stuff from Scarlet Witch and all, but it's not quite the same.
He's got a very similar power to that of Zatanna because, well, I guess in some way, because both him and Zatanna say what their spells are just them saying what they want to happen, but Zatanna says hers backwards. Like, when she wants something to happen, she just says the word backwards, and that thing occurs. But when Wiccan does it, he just says what he wants to happen, like, very quickly.
Yeah, real quick.
And, like, with like, channeling magic. And then I think Quicksilver calls him out. He goes, it's kind of dumb to do that, because then everybody knows what you're going to do. If you're just like, kill this guy, kill this guy, kill this guy, kill this guy, this guy's like, oh, well, you're just going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that... it depends who they fight. I mean, if they're just fighting the entire Secret Invasion... It makes sense if they just give him a bunch of powerhouses.
Well, yeah.
So I think it just remains to be seen.
It also depends how they adapt Wiccan. Because in the comic, I was going to say, in the comics, Wiccan is one of the future Sorcerer Supremes.
Right.
Or the future. He's the next one after
Strange.
Doctor Strange, essentially. Well, I guess it's Loki, but also it's whatever. There's a comic book where Doctor Strange teams up with all the different past and future Sorcerer Supremes. And Wiccan is the next one after him. But yeah, in that way, like you said, I guess it kind of is fine. Like, when you think about it, if they're going to be taking on big threats anyways, they may as well.
Okay.
Especially if it kind of is the thing we've been saying, which like sort of works, is that they are the Young Avengers, but they are also just sort of a replacement for the Avengers.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. I mean, I guess if you can have a Captain Marvel on an Avengers, why can't you have a Miss Marvel on a Young Avengers? You know?
Exactly.
Like, that's obviously sort of proportional then. So
yeah, everyone gets their own. Everybody gets one.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I thought that was interesting. Again, I don't care one way or the other what they end up doing. Or maybe they'll kind of do a combination of both. Maybe she'll have her stretchy sort of powers and some more cosmic-y stuff. I did always think it was kind of weird that Miss Marvel is called that she chooses that name and all. Like...
Because Miss Marvel was Captain Marvel's old name before she took the Captain moniker.
Like,
when she had long hair.
As far as I know in the comics, she just kind of asks, and she's like, "Yeah, it's whatever. I don't care."
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Like, wear it well, sort of deal. Which is all cool and all, but it's I have always thought it was kind of weird that she's called that because she is so like dissimilar.
She's much more grounded.
Yeah, she's not.
She's just hanging out with Miles Morales most of the time.
Yeah. It's like that thing they used to do in comics, it feels like, where you just have two characters the same name with totally distinct powers. Or like Marvel and DC would be copying each other with names.
Oh yeah. Like
that's why they can't have that's why they can't have Captain Marvel. That's why Captain Marvel exists, is because Marvel did it to steal it from DC. Like,
yeah, because they're like, well, we can't have DC have a character with our company name on it, so we're gonna make our own character, so they can't have Shazam. I mean, even Captain Marvel, even Shazam before he was Captain Marvel, wasn't even owned by DC. DC took him because he was selling better than Superman for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how that plays out. And of course, again, Young Avengers and Secret Invasion.
They're gonna happen. We're gonna get T-shirts made. It's gonna be great.
I mean, do we have to keep saying Secret Invasion? Because we know that. I guess let's make it clear to anyone listening. When we say Secret Invasion, we're not just saying that Secret Invasion will be a show, because we know that has been confirmed as a show.
I think
what we're saying is that there's going to be like a bunch of Secret
Invasion will be bigger than
lots of different people in it. That's our thing.
I think that is a very good important distinction, because people are going to be like, these fucking dumbasses. If people emailed us, they'd be like, look at this email I found. Like, oh.
But yeah, because I think it'd be interesting, because people have pointed out as well that like Captain Marvel in her movie and in Endgame to an extent, she's already like peak Captain Marvel. She's like Photon, which is like a different sort of alias for Captain Marvel, because she kind of goes in stages. Like there's at points where she really, it's when she's maybe not Photon. Fuck, I hope I didn't fuck that up. I think it's when she's binary. One of her aliases is
no
binary.
idea what you're talking about.
And that's when she's like unlimited in power. Like it's insane.
Jeez.
And she's they had to kind of bring her down because they're like, oh god, we made her too powerful. So in the comics nowadays, she's a little more tempered. But people pointed out in the movie that she's just unbeatable. Like she just flies through
spaceships both
times.
And just fights Thanos and stuff.
Thanos does beat her with the stone, obviously, for like an instant, but like she's close.
Yeah, she can contend with him enough that he has to be like, well, I gotta hold the literal stone in my hand. I have to hold the stone of infinite power to make sure that she stays away. But I mean, when you put that up against her, if she really was just stretchy, it would feel like an odd inclusion because I'm sure they could make it work, and maybe again, it remains to be seen. So maybe they will. But fuck, if you have Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau as maybe is she Photon? Maybe I think she's Photon.
Okay, so and you have like Photon up there, and like I don't. It's hard to imagine a scenario where there's something the two of them can't do that stretchy Miss Marvel would do.
They're like, oh, we can't reach down this grate without we can't move this grate. We need to reach this ring that fell for this woman. Miss Marvel, can you do it?
So, but yeah, it's good stuff.
I think so. So now we're gonna go from good stuff to stuff with the Bad Batch.
You just thought it was
Back attack into it. I thought the finale was, I wasn't a huge fan.
So,
all things considered,
let's do a speed round of all the things that I predicted correctly, and we can do it incorrectly as well. So the Kaminoan thing did sort of come to a head, not as impressively as
we assumed.
I had hoped. The Kaminoans did not go out with much of a bang. Well, they did kind of a bang, but also kind of a whimper. There was not like a concerted Kaminoan rebellion uprising scenario. The Empire just kind of nipped it in the bud before it could even happen. But I was right about the finale. Obviously was on Kamino. Like they came back to it, and it was destroyed. Not because they were like super aggressive, but just because the Empire are dicks.
They're like, we might as well get rid of this. We can't really use it, so no one else can.
So then Crosshair was probably the other big one. That sort of did not. It kind of went as I thought, and also not.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have his chip,
but he's just mean.
Yeah, in some ways, like I am at first immediately I found that quite disappointing, and I suppose I still do. But I also think it is sort of an interesting way to take the story, isn't it? Is like, because the kind of the theme there, I suppose, or whatever you want to call it, is like not everyone's bad because of like
forces beyond their control. Yeah, some people are just bad.
Sometimes people know the wrong choice. They know right from wrong. They choose
wrong
to make the wrong choice
because they want to.
Yeah, it's something I really like, and this is like everything in Star Wars. It's happened before. Like it's a recurring theme because everything rhymes.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
In to pull out some deep cuts on you in the From a Certain Point of View, A New Hope
40th anniversary.
Yeah, the anthology thing. One of the chapters is Qui-Gon as a Force ghost talking to Obi-Wan during the events of Episode 4. And Obi-Wan's all like nervous because he's like, I got this kid Luke, I gotta train him. I'm nervous. I don't know how. Gosh, Master, this is gonna be tough on me. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do this all and everything. And like Qui-Gon's over there knowing like you're about to die, so you don't even gotta worry about it. I know you're about to die.
Don't even stress. I see all of time. I know you're about to join me soon, my man.
I exist outside of time and space now. But he's like, one of the things that comes up, he's like, oh, is it because of Anakin? Like, and Obi-Wan, by this point, because he's been able to ruminate on nothing else for 20 years, has this moment where he's like, no, like, I don't even hardly feel that bad about Anakin. Like, yeah, maybe there's some things I could have done differently, but ultimately, I did a pretty good job. And like, if anything, the thing is, I was too easy on it. But I taught Anakin well, like, to the best that I could have. I taught him right from wrong, and he knew right from wrong, and he chose wrong. Like,
and he paid the price.
Yes, it was the dark side, but also he had the chance. He had the resources and like the support network if he needed it.
And the ability.
And he chose wrong, and I can live with that. Like, I don't blame myself entirely. Like, he still carries some of it, but it's like, it's kind of a growth moment for him. And it's a kind of a similar scenario here, which is, I think, just interesting to deal with. And I think, obviously, Crosshair very well can still be redeemed. I would be very surprised if in the next season he really does just end up with the Empire again. I would be surprised and disappointed. I think it's more likely that he's going to be a bit of like a loner for a while here.
Yeah.
Because he said like, I want to join. I want to be in the Empire or whatever, but I just don't see it. Like,
and they talked about, like he said, what is it? The Admiral. What's his name?
I can tell you.
Some fan you are.
I know, shit.
God, the only reason I have you here is to say dumb fucking names of characters, my thing that you like more than me. Anyway, goddamn nerd. Anyway, aside from me being kind of mean, they say, the Admiral says, if he fucks up, we're gonna get rid of the clone soon. So not even to worry about. Are you looking at the name right now?
It's Admiral Rampart.
Admiral Rampart. See,
Vice Admiral Rampart.
Yeah, so when he talks to one of the not the regs, the new like proto stormtroopers, they're like, yeah, keep an eye on him, and if things go sideways with the clone, we're just gonna scrap clones and we're gonna get rid of them because they're not useful. And it's just strange. Like why is he?
Yeah, they're right. Like maybe yeah, I guess he took out his chip or whatever, and so he's not just brainwashed by them. Like they're not literally controlling him, but they obviously were correct about him being
a dick.
Yeah, the Empire is still treats him shittily, and yeah, they did blow up the station knowing he was on it. They didn't really like him, and his elite clones didn't really respect him, and
he's very clearly expendable to them. They don't want to use clones anymore, and he knows that.
Yeah, and also the Empire really is just evil.
They are obviously the bad guys.
I don't know. So in some ways I definitely was disappointed, but also I do think that there's that means there's potential for him to grow in the future. And then yeah, as far as the rest of those plot points getting wrapped up, I thought those were all good. I told you as we were watching it, in the first episode in particular, he's making some good points about them. Is that they abandon him, and they're right. Early on, they get a pass, I think, in that they couldn't have known
about the chips and everything.
Exactly. So they just thought that Crosshair was betraying them essentially because they didn't realize what was going on there.
But then they find out, and they don't make any attempt to save him.
When they find out about the chips, and then they interact, and they come to blows with Crosshair a couple more times throughout the season after they've learned that, and they never make an effort to do that. That is pretty shitty.
Yeah, and maybe that's what turns him more against them.
Yeah,
is that they don't try. Like you said, the first couple times, if you don't know, if they just think it's their friend's evil, they're like, well, I guess our friend's evil, or our brother's evil. That's kind of shitty, but I mean, we gotta just survive. But if you knew that there was something that was making him do this, act not like himself, the one you remember, and you don't try, you're no better than he is.
That's why I said, I said this early on about it, is I thought this was a really interesting opportunity for this show to kind of grapple with, is yeah, we could save one of the clones. That's a thing they could head on, is hey, we know what was happening, and we can get him. We can make it our mission to save him and
bring him back.
They really didn't, which is a little disappointing.
They fumbled the bag, as the kids say.
But again, that's kind of that. It's not I'm not saying the writers fucked up or anything, because clearly the story they told here is very intentional. I'm disappointed it didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I do think, again, that is more interesting, because in the same sense, the rest of the Bad Batch is that already, right?
Right.
They are the clone. They are clones who got their chips out, and so is Rex and Gregor and all the rest of them. Wolf. So it's not like we've never seen that story, and if anything, maybe it would have just been repetitive to just be they took the chip out, and then he wakes up, and he's like, "Whoa, I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
What was I doing?
Did I commit war crimes in the third episode?"
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point. See, that's something to ponder then, because he says, obviously in the episode, he's like, Hunter is like, when did you take it out? And he's like, does it matter? And Hunter's like, yeah. That's stuff like that is why it matters. Is how long have you been,
of your own accord,
of your own free will, trying to kill us and committing war crimes and assassinating people and shooting senators in the head? Because yeah, if he did it almost immediately, and then the whole season, say, when he's literally killing civilians,
just to do
sniping senators and shit. If that was all you after your chip, that's messed up.
That's no good. Yeah. Sometimes if you take the Nazi ban that makes you a Nazi, sometimes you're just still a Nazi, my man.
I guess on occasion.
But I thought I don't know. I thought it was interesting that he up until the final episode, he just doesn't. I really thought he was gonna get swayed, and they were going to kind of redeem him next season, and they very well might. Mm-hmm. But I think it does really throw a wrench into your Delta Determination plans. What are they called?
Delta Squad.
That can't be right.
Just Delta Squad. It's pretty straightforward.
That can't be right. That's going to be something else.
I was freaking out, which you obviously saw, is when at the very end, for the sort of, not just the last scene, when they're on that, whatever planet that is, and they land with Nalase, and you see all those commandos. I was like, oh my gosh, are they doing it? Because at first you just see the two commandos walk out, and I'm like, oh my god, are they doing... Is this Delta Squad? It's not quite. It's just a bunch of commandos.
I thought it was still cool, though.
No, it's cool. I really do like those guys. They have a really cool look to them. So, I mean, maybe it'll just be a bunch of commandos that they're fighting rather than any one in particular. I still gotta maintain that they put the actual model for Scorch in for a reason. And I did some research since. The model that they used for this is definitively different than the one that was used in Season 4 of the Clone Wars.
Oh, how so?
Or 3 or 4. Just a couple things to his backpack and stuff.
Enough that they'd have to like read.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about this sort of stuff to speak authoritatively on it, but
right. But you could anyway.
Yeah, I will regardless. I think that even just getting it up to being able to put in this show, I think that stuff has changed enough since they made that model that like they would have had to update it on some level regardless.
Right.
Which, again, still gives me hope that if they made the conscious decision to put him in there, that it's going to mean something. Or maybe it's just, again, just a treat for the fans. I don't know. But I still think that'd be cool. Again, especially because I hope that Crosshair doesn't actually just go back to the Empire. That would suck ass.
Yeah. So I think, you see, because of where he is, what I think will happen is that in this next season, he may have his own little arc of him, like, trying to redeem himself. Like, him getting back to the Empire... and, like, thinking on all the things that they said to him and, like, what happened. And the Empire just treating him like shit. And him being like, well, maybe I made the wrong choice. And then, like, trying to go back and be redeemed and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that, it's been made clear to us, at least, as the viewer, that the Empire genuinely does not want him anymore. Like, they were... I feel like if he rolled up, they would just be like, no, we really actually wanted you to. Like, no. Like,
good on you for surviving, I guess, but get the hell out of here, man.
But, like, if they do, though, that scenario you just described, actually, if you can believe it or not, kind of rhymes with something else. You know?
Oh, does it?
In Rebels, the Agent Callus, he's
like Agent Callus.
He's like a... You say that, but anyone who's watched the show would get it, all right?
Yeah, I don't
It's
get
a pretty
it.
popular
I didn't
show.
watch. I'm just kind of being an asshole.
He's sort of the primary, or maybe, I suppose he's the secondary antagonist for like the first 2 seasons. In season 2, he has an episode where him and one of the rebel ghost crew crash on this planet, and they have to like survive together, and they work together, and they have like a bit of a heart-to-heart. And then for like the next half season, he's just kind of stewing on it. And then by the start of season 3, he's like a spy now.
Oh.
So it's a similar kind of thing. It's a bit of a slow burn. It doesn't happen overnight, but like he eventually is like, fuck, what am I doing here? Like,
this is pretty shitty.
I've said this before, I don't think on the show, but I may have said it to you, is like, the thing about Imperial characters in Star Wars is that
we have to, they have to do that art.
They have to be good.
Because then you're just watching Nazis be Nazis.
Exactly. Because there is, like, and this is going to sound weird to say, but there is even less nuance to the Empire than there is to literal, like, Nazis.
Yeah.
So, like, there is scenarios where, like, you can be like, well, they didn't have a choice, or they really were just following orders, or whatever, not to justify anything. But because it's Star Wars, and because it's a fictional world in which we can definitively just draw straight lines of good and evil, because it's that kind of, like,
narrative,
level, you can literally just say, no, there is no nuance to actually being, like, a supporting
the Sith.
You are just evil. And so any character who is even pretends to be half decent as an Imperial even, they all inevitably have an arc. Like, I've talked before, it really bothers me when, like, for example, like, it happened in Battlefront 2, right? Which, and I will say that I do find it lame, like, the way that particular scenario was handled, but Battlefront 2 was marketed as the campaign, like, you get to play as an Imperial, like, you're gonna play an Imperial. There's, like, on all the trailers, she's, like, yelling, she's, like, giving speeches. Like, one of the, like, sort of, like, quotes that stuck around from that is that she says, like, hope cannot save them. Like,
Jesus.
She's getting real...
She's a hardcore zealot for this kind of stuff.
But in the real game, 2 missions in, you defect to the rebels, which is fine. It's, like, it's not great. I mean, but that's not the campaign's only flaw.
Right.
And that bothered people, and then, like, when Star Wars Squadrons came out, that has, like, an Imperial half and a Republic half to the campaign, and in one of the missions, you literally have, like, the optional objective to shoot down civilian craft that are trying to flee. And it's, like, obviously it's done for, like, impact in the story, right? like, you can choose to do it, but then you're supposed to feel bad, of course, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to be like, we shouldn't have done that.
I guess I want to do this for my fake, video game feel-good points, because I want that dopamine hit of doing the task. But geez, I just killed I just killed digital civilians.
I killed people who didn't need to be killed.
And I remember at the time seeing people on, like, I think on maybe the Star Wars Squadrons subreddit or something being like, it was so cool, we finally got the Imperial campaign we wanted. We really dealt justice to those rebels. And I'm like, I feel like you guys are taking this a bit far. Like, I'm all for, like, the haha, the Empire did nothing wrong meme subreddit, but I feel like some people on there just think the Empire really did nothing wrong. It's like, no, guys, like, again, there's no nuance to this, actually.
They're
like,
just Nazis.
It's, again, I don't know how else to say it other than, like, because it's fictional, there actually doesn't have to be any nuance.
Yeah, they don't.
They are just evil, like, unjustifiably.
The fact that it's kind of for kids and, like, it's really simple, it's very clear. And George Lucas is very clear that it's good and evil.
That, like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Is that it's, and like, not that there's, like, nothing below the surface about it. It's, like, good and evil in the sense that it can be, like, whatever, your own internal good and evil, and like, we all have our own little fights against evil. It's not necessarily this, like, it's not this massive, it doesn't have to only be this galaxy-spanning fight against good and evil, but it is ultimately just good triumphing over evil. Like, that's the point. And again, without necessarily the need for, like, nuance and abstraction. And so, there's no reason to support the Empire in universe, even. Any character who's an Imperial who's, like, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy, like, watching a character, of course. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know a lot of people like Darth Vader, and sometimes I feel the same way about that. I'm not gonna lie, I do. Like, I feel like some people really take it a bit like, okay, I get it, but, like, he's your favorite character? Like, it's sort of the Rogue One scene, right? You see, and people love that.
We've certainly talked about that before.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch, but it's like,
it's cool to watch because it's very intense and, like,
it's intense
action-based.
Because you want the good guys to win, though. It's not intense. But you're like, oh my god, I hope they get there. I hope they get the disc. And I feel like some people are watching that, literally being like, I hope Darth Vader gets them all. And it's like,
we may have actually mentioned this in, like, the second episode when we talk about the Bad Batch. When we talk about the first 8 episodes, but we'll talk about it again because it bears repeating. Like, a lot, even people I know who like Star Wars want, like, an R-rated Darth Vader movie.
I've heard this repeated so many times.
I'm like, but Darth Vader isn't really because he can't develop. The only way he can develop is that he can just get more evil.
Exactly.
Like the only way to have it is to do, like, the end of Revenge of the Sith when he's like, no, my wife, I'm evil.
You
nailed it. And then the Emperor's like, all right, man, go kill some Jedi. And then he goes and kills some Jedi.
Does.
And he's like, I guess I'm just evil, and I'm going to bleed my Kyber crystal. Now, that'd be cool to see.
Be interesting, but but
then he's just evil.
And those comics are good, but again, at some point it becomes like, we don't need adaptation of comics. Like, the only thing I've ever seen that has, like, a semblance is, like, one of the older Dark Horse comics I've read a thing once where, like, he teams up with this smuggler who's, like, kind of, just a comic relief sort of, like, plucky sort of guy. And he's like, he sort of points out to Darth Vader that he's just a pawn of the Emperor's, and sort of by the end of the sort of comic, like, Darth Vader actually kind of realizes that he's right, and then, like, so you can kind of, I suppose you could do something along that line, which is sort of what happens in most of the new Darth Vader comics as well. Is just he kind of comes to resent the Emperor more, but the thing about that is,
he stays.
He stays, of course. Again, it's sort of like the we know how it ends up thing. But what I was going to say is that, like, in reality, that's actually just furthering his Sithness.
Yeah, his
that's
hatred.
Not actually a good development for him. That's just further down the same path.
Like, and it's not like the Emperor's like, oh no, like, that's what he wants.
That's exactly what he wants.
Like, there's a reason that Darth Vader, his like modifications aren't top specs. Like, purposely, like, shitty and bad to make his life a living hell. So it'll motivate him to get stronger, but he'll never be quite strong enough to defeat the Emperor because his legs conduct electricity, and the Emperor loves doing that shit. So, like, he's built Darth Vader to never be able to defeat him.
It's a very intentional thing, obviously, that in the end, when he defeats the Emperor, it's because he does it out of love for his son, not out of hate for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Again, it's like...
Guys, watch the movies.
Yeah, I try not to be this guy about it whenever I can, but I really feel like sometimes it's like, there's two sort of like halves to Star Wars, and this is gonna sound like shitty and sort of like pretentious, but it's like I feel like there is a not insignificant portion of Star Wars fans who really do just like watching it for the lightsaber fights and the space battles and shit, and really never give like a spare thought to any of the sort of themes going on, which I suppose is fine.
Yeah.
Live your life, man. If you want to just watch the laser fights, that's fine.
Click around and find out. Kind of.
Sometimes they're very vocal about it. And I'm like, did you guys watch the movies, or like, do you guys just want like an extended effects reel? Like, is that what you would prefer?
You want a super cut of every time someone draws a lightsaber and duels another man, or a person, or a woman, or whatever?
Again, if you want to do that, that's fine, I guess. I shouldn't judge, but sometimes I just feel like it's like they don't think at all about any kind of thing. Again, the thing about Star Wars is that the themes are not actually that deep either.
They're for kids, my man.
Don't take me wrong. Yeah, don't let me try to convince you I'm some kind of like
savant
film theorist over here,
Mr. Mad Pat.
They are just pretty straightforward. Again, like good is better than evil.
Love, don't hate. Anger is not the way.
Yeah.
They're like Dave Filoni says in his classic quote, it's for kids, man. And there's nothing wrong with it being for kids,
of course,
because you can still enjoy it if it's for kids.
Again.
But but like the big thing is, like we keep saying, you have to understand that it's always going to be made for them. Like that's the first people they think of.
The thing is that it can be for kids and adults. It can't be for adults and kids.
Yeah.
That's why you can't do an R-rated Star Wars anything, really.
Because you couldn't.
That's crazy.
Because then kids are going to see it, and then young kids are going to, like, parents be like, well, it's Star Wars. Like, I know it's Star Wars is like, they'll be like, well, they're going to rationalize it, and then things are going to go wrong.
I remember I saw people being like, man, I'm like, now that we know Hayden Christensen's going to be in the Obi-Wan show, I'm excited to see some more of Order 66. And it's like, are you?
The slaughter.
You're not supposed to enjoy that.
That's supposed to be a sad scene.
I genuinely find that scene to be pretty...
It's distressing. They kill my man's Plo Koon.
They kill Plo Koon.
They don't let him do Force judgment.
They get A-list security. He doesn't even... As all us true fans know, he should have done Force judgment on all the clones and got out scot-free.
And going, I'm going to judge you with lightning.
But yeah, that's distressing. It's just no good. I don't know.
Star Wars fans are
the
worst
all came
kind
back
of fans.
to... Oh yeah, no one hates Star Wars
more than a Star Wars fan.
It was all just coming back to like, I hope Crosshair doesn't actually just end up as an Imperial gang, because then I don't know what the path is for him. And again, in a lot of ways, this was the most interesting way they could have taken his character, but also it's one of the hardest to reconcile with him being a good guy again at any point. Is the idea that it wasn't his ship, he just willingly wanted to be an Imperial. It's like a reverse redemption arc I was talking about with every Imperial character ever.
Yeah, he's like, no, I just wanted to do this the whole time.
Yeah, instead of being an Iden Versio or a Agent Callus.
Hell, even a Captain Rex.
Yeah, Rex. He's done a reverse. He's doubled down on the Empire.
She just loves it so much. She goes, God, I just love... Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Like, he does the war crimes, and then he's like, now I'm gonna do it for real. Like, these other guys do a war crime, and that's when they're like, oh no, I was on the wrong side the whole time.
It's like, no, I know. I'm gonna do it because I'm on the wrong side, because I like it. I mean, and even Tech points it out, he's like, he's shitty. I hate you, Crosshair.
In his just matter-of-fact way. Well, if you recall, Wrecker, he's always been sort of a prick.
He's always been kind of cunning and snake-like. So really, it was the natural trajectory for him to be a Nazi, a space Nazi, unlike us, who are chill and cool.
What do you have any big predictions for next year?
Well,
next season?
Of course, I think what's another D word? The Delta dinosaurs are gonna,
that's probably my big one as well.
Gonna go around. I don't have a ton. What I really hope for this next season is just that it's more interesting. I'm gonna be honest. I like Star Wars well enough, but I'm not like, I didn't watch Rebels and I didn't watch all the Clone Wars, so I'm not like these like day-to-day episodes when they're like on Ryloth. Like I get nothing out of them, if I'm to be honest. Obviously not like we say again.
You keep coming back to that one. That's like one of the ones people really like. That's one of the popular
ones. I get
ones.
nothing out of it.
I would say, like, that was one of the better received. That little two-parter, I'm on that side. I think it was real good.
Well, again, I think it's just because I didn't watch Rebels.
I liked Hauser a lot. See, but like Hauser is one of the highlights of that for a lot of people, and he's not a recurring.
I do like Hauser, but like I don't know.
I liked his whole thing. I guess we should say that then. Maybe that's gonna get my because although a lot of my sort of predictions around the cameo notes and stuff did come to fruition, that one didn't really. Again, like you could kind of look at it as like, oh well, the Empire nipped it in the bud before they even had a chance. But I think maybe the way this shook out, there's still potential for maybe another like a clone uprising.
Yeah.
I think because of that episode, like, is really making me lean that way. They set it up. I think that's going to get payoff at some point. The fact that Hauser and others are like, hey, the Empire sucks. Like, that could be their whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be, like, the Bad Batch's new sort of mission here, I think. Because, you know, there's obviously, like, Rex and, again, Omega all the time is trying to be like, hey, do something, like, good.
Let's do good things for once. Let's be good people.
Let's be productive about it too. Like we have the abilities and like the knowledge and the know-how to probably affect like genuine change. The galaxy's a fucked place right now. Let's get some shit done.
Let's get going.
And so like
give me some fucking armor.
They could foment a rebellion. I think it could be like, hey,
I think
we did it. Fuck the Empire. Am I right, guys?
But they won't work though. Like I said, it's rubbing up too close. It's doing the rubbing up thing that I don't like.
It could work in the sense that a bunch of clones get to live free.
That's true. I guess that'd be good. I think
that's kind of what you got to remember. Like you're right. Like that is a thing that kind of is this recurring sort of theme about this period of the Star Wars timeline is that the good guys cannot beat the Empire until they do. Right?
Yeah. Until Luke comes around.
Until at the very earliest, until Scarif. Right? You know, people really take the opening crawl of Star Wars literally. Is that like the Rebel Alliance, striking from their hidden base, have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. Like people take that literally as in like Scarif is the first time, and in a way, you know, there is some room for interpretation there of like what is the rebels, you know.
What's a decisive is like a decisive victory? Yeah. What do they mean by victory? There's a lot of things you can
like
break down.
He's like a smaller band of dudes who isn't like the proper Rebel Alliance. Do they count? Like,
yeah, does Rex count with Hauser?
Does Rex
and
count as the rebels?
Do the Bad Batch count in the second season?
Exactly. So I think there is room there. And again, it's about like small victories and stuff. Like in Rebels, they have a significant victory in that they are able to free and keep Lothal free, which is like Ezra's home planet.
Yeah,
that's like the culmination of that series. Is that they're like, this planet in particular, we can help, and they do, and it stays free the whole time. It isn't a massive blow in that, like, the galaxy at large is not affected, right? The Empire at large is not affected, but it's a personal victory for those characters. And you can do similar stuff to that, I think.
No, I agree. I think that's probably how they're going to do it, because if nobody wins, what's even the fucking point of these shows, you know?
Yeah.
But I just thought of something while you were talking. Not that I wasn't listening. I was listening, of course. But I think that Boba Fett will play a role. I know we mentioned that back when we were talking about Cad Bane, when we were talking about in our Bad Batch of Boba episode 2. But again, as you know, you listen to that episode already in preparation for this one each week. That he may show up because they reference him. Cad Bane references him, that he's out there. And Omega is obviously, he's the alpha to literally Omega's, because that's her name. So I believe he may play a role in some way, if not directly with the Bad Batch, if he will be sent out.
I think we said that when we were talking about that episode, right?
Yeah.
Is that like, hey, maybe Boba Fett's gonna pull up?
We thought he was gonna do the Cad Bane arc, but
yeah, or I think but I think at the very least we're like, well, or if they get a season 2, which obviously again we know they do now, he could roll up in season 2 and do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think with hopefully some more freedom in season 2, I do think maybe they could actually do, now that they've established the characters and the setting and everything, and we've got a lot of groundwork laid out, maybe they could actually do 2 episodes next season that are just Boba Fett, that have almost no like Bad Batch, and it does that as like a flashback sequence even. Like, for whatever reason they decide they need to get Boba Fett or meet up with Boba Fett or whatever.
Boba Fett's trying to find them.
Yeah, or whatever. And then
I think it'd be cool if they did like a cut between. For example, like Boba Fett would be like, it'd be like current timeline Boba Fett, and he'd be doing something, and every time he'd like meet like an event that would trigger memory, and it would like flash back to him training
that sequence.
And it would like slowly build that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think there's potential there.
What I hope happens for the second season is that the episodes are just like more plot driven. Like that's what gets me the most. I'm not like, I get characters important, but I'm much more of a plot guy.
Agree. I will be disappointed if the next, not even necessarily that, like, it's just, the problem with this show is probably just that they do the same character stuff over and over again. And I really would be disappointed and I think maybe the way that, like, in this finale, I mean, there's still going to be, like, points of difference, right? Hunter and the rest of them can't be perfect, because then, like, in all the same way, like, Omega is, right? They do have to be different in that, like, Omega, you know, is going to be the type of character who is going to be the one who's, like, sitting next to you and being like, hey, I'm
keep
the
you on
nice,
the straight and
friendly
narrow
character. Maybe I can convince you. Like, that's going to be her gig, obviously. But at the same time, in this episode, like, Hunter, he has some, like, genuine, like, thoughts, and, like, he gets his stuff across, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, hey, man, no, you are still our brother, and, like, this and that, and I think he does well. Like, I hope that is endemic of, in going forward, they are gonna have these lessons learned well, and, like, yeah, Hunter has gotten better, and I think maybe, like, you know, in exact defiance of what Crosshair said, of, like, hey, come on, man, you don't really want to do this. Like, stop trying to be something you're not. You're not this. What are you, this kid's dad or whatever? Like, this isn't you. I think it is him now. Like, he's
grown and changed.
Yeah, they've all grown and changed, and they can do that. Yeah, they can be something better than just soldiers in a mindless machine.
Yeah, I mean, they even kind of reference that a little bit when he's leading them to when Hunter is leading him to the training room. Oh no, excuse me. Hunter is being led to the training room by Crosshair. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm having all the regs. What's going on? And Crosshair's like, what the fuck do you care? We never cared about them.
Yeah, there's some genuine, like, back and forth there that
I agree. He's like, we have never like, we looked down on them because we were the best of the best. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why you think, who are you to, like, change their bond like that? Like, I'm being true to who I am.
Like, when Crosshair was like, you left me, and yeah, like, what, do you care about the regs now? And, like, what, do you care about this kid? Like, yeah.
What the hell happened to you, man?
And, like, the thing is that maybe Crosshair really hasn't gone straight so far. Like, now that his chip's out, maybe he is just sort of stationary to what they were, and the rest of them have grown. So, yeah, I hope, I kind of agree. Not that I hated, like, a lot of the, I really did think most of even the quote-unquote, you know, filler episodes were good enough for me for the most part. I do hope that if they continue to do ones like that at the very least, yeah, they don't do the same
story over and over.
The same character beats over and over.
Like, planet is in trouble.
At the very least, maybe
Omega
some of the other guys get play.
Because it's really just a lot of Hunter.
It's mostly Hunter.
Like, Tech's just kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, maybe Tech can have kind of an episode where we deal with Tech, and Echo can deal with the fact that he's
a weird,
barely alive
cyborg. He's like, man, I wish I kind of was dead. Kind of. Be a real Kaladin about it. Be like, man, what if I was just dead?
Like, and I hope we get, I mean, I don't want it to just be cameos, but, like, I think more appropriate cameos, like more clones. Like, to me, Gregor was a cameo that works a lot better for the context of the show than, say,
Cad Bane.
I guess Cad Bane was fine.
I thought Cad Bane was going to be, I guess I'm not a huge fan of it because I thought he would be in more of it.
I can't think of one that was too egregious. No, actually, no, it's Hera and Chopper. That was an egregious one that almost, like, didn't need to exist. Like, Sham is one thing for the scenario, but Hera and Chopper were kind of just there that episode because they should be there, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
like, physically it makes sense. Like, I feel like if they didn't show up, people would be like, where's his daughter?
No, I'm sure I would be one of those people. So, like, you can't win. But, yeah, I think maybe some more, like, we could get Wolf. Like, we already got the Gregor episode. I think I told you, I don't know if I said it on here or we just talked about it outside, but, like, that was kind of almost like a disappointing reveal at the same time, because at first you're like, oh, it's cool that Gregor's in this, but then the question that people had been wondering about Gregor is, like, how he survived, and, like, how he got his chip out, and how he knew to do that, and why he's kind of weird now.
Yeah, why is he all crazy with...
And the episode that we got of him in the Bad Batch here does not answer any of that.
It was just like, I got hit by a bomb. I'm crazy.
Like, it just kind of, like, puts us at the exact same spot he was in at the beginning of Rebels, just 20 years earlier. Like, we skipped all the interesting stuff with him. This just shows us how he left the Empire, which I guess we had all just kind of assumed that he just up and left the Empire.
He was like, peace, my man.
Because that seemed to be that's kind of like the other sort of tragic side to the clones is that the Empire does just get rid of them all, and they can't even be bothered. Like, that's happening in this show already, right?
They're like, yeah, they're being located off-world to just be probably abandoned.
Like, that was sort of like really salt in the wounds, is that they're like, we used you as, like, you know, sentient murder robots. We, like, defied your free will to make you kill your friends.
And now
then we tossed you aside.
And we're like, hey, your guys are kind of expensive, and we don't really go through this trouble, so we'll just throw, like, regular guys at you, and we'll be probably fine.
See, I would like it if there was more clones, and more, like, named clones and significant clones getting some
Play here?
Some, like, redemption and stuff in that sense. And rehabilitation. And I don't know, a lot of the other, like, sort of, like, Cad Bane was really cool. I can't lie, I loved seeing him in this. But then, like, I don't know, like, Fennec Shand was kind of just whatever. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm missing some, because there was, like, a ton of cameos.
I don't remember. All I remember is Cad Bane.
Again, I guess Hera and Chopper was the one I was kind of like, you guys did almost nothing for this. Caleb Dune, he was fine, actually, in the first episode. So, I don't think more cameos would probably be cool when I think about it. So, as long as they have some reasoning is all.
Right. So how would you rate this show? Like, on a scale 1 to 10, how'd you feel it?
1 to 10.
I know we don't usually do this.
No,
I just thought,
but I like it. See, it's gonna be very hard for me to be any kind of objective with it.
That's fair.
Because it's Star Wars. Like, it's just, I couldn't tell you the last thing that was Star Wars that I genuinely disliked.
Right. Well,
let me just put it
instead of 1 to 10, let's do it this way. Because there's a gaming YouTuber that I like to watch, and he does scales 1 through 7, which I think is better because 1 through 3 is bad, I didn't like it. 4 is middle of the road, and then there's like, it's like 3 points of I didn't like it, 1 point of dead middle, and then 3 more points of a varying scales of I liked it.
Yeah, okay.
So I would say I would rank this about a 4 out of 7, maybe a 5 out of 7. I'm on the mid.
All the way on the not like it side.
I'm not on the not like it. I didn't not enjoy it. I did not enjoy all of it. But, like I said last week, I think you could just cut half the episodes, and I wouldn't even notice or care. But that's just my, that's just...
I mean, I can't super disagree with you. And that's, again, not that I disliked any of the filler episodes, and even the ones that are kind of fillery, they had a lot of stuff where me as a big nerd was like, this is cool, like, this is interesting stuff. But yeah, there's definitely some where it's just like they had no appreciable effect
on the story as a whole.
That's another cameo, was the Martez sisters from season 7 of the Clone Wars. That's one I could do without anytime soon.
Weren't the Pike? Weren't they?
Yeah, that's kind of a cameo. Yeah, they're cool.
Pike is cool.
See, stuff like that. There is sort of little threads that are set up that could easily be followed up season 2. Yeah. Like, I know I just said that, but the Martez sister and they're working with Rex and Ahsoka. Yeah, the Pike Syndicate and their thing. Obviously, I would assume Sid would come back. So yeah, there's definitely stuff to play with. I guess off that scale, probably a 6. I guess
the first score.
Now I know this is no way to like judge a thing, but I will say, being the first season of a Star Wars animated show, that has so far established a track record of this first season is usually among the weaker, because once they've established the world and the characters and all, then they can get into more interesting stuff.
Right.
If Clone Wars or Rebels is any indication, which I think it might be, it's the same people. Like, it's by and large a lot of the same team that has kind of been revolving, that has sort of like worked on all this stuff since like 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if anything, I would say this is among the stronger. It's probably the strongest of those three. I would say between this season 1 of Rebels, and season 1 of Clone Wars, all of which I really do like treasure in their own ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably the strongest of them, straight up. Like, this does stand on its own the best, and has like the better, overall the better episodes and stuff. So like, if that's any indication, again, I know that's no way to judge a thing, but then this could, if it gets another season or 2 or whatever they end up getting, I think it could potentially like be really good if a lot of this stuff gets paid off and carried down and stuff.
Right. So, now what's the next Star Wars thing? Is it Visions? Is it on the 22nd?
Yeah, it's Visions.
Okay, I think that'll be cool. We didn't even talk about that. I'm sure we can talk about it in a different episode.
No.
We've been going for a while.
We have obviously there's no Bad Batch, so like maybe we'll get around to, maybe we'll watch that
Clone Wars.
Just for the heck of it. Again, that's not going to have like any actual relevance to that, but it should be something to talk about, and then we'll
probably add more because what we got 2 weeks till Shang-Chi,
yeah.
So we probably do it next week. Actually,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, probably because like we only have like an episode of What If to talk about.
Yeah.
So. And because then the week after will be Shang-Chi.
But yeah, and then we're gonna be flush with.
There'll be so much to talk about. We might
between Marvel and Star Wars.
The episodes might get longer.
Star Wars is gonna start to pick up again. I mean, not that it didn't pick up. I can't believe I just said
that.
that.
James Clydesdale show.
It's kind of absurd to say because there was several years where we went without any Star Wars shows. There's been little droughts of it, so the fact that we're already on our second Star Wars show of this year, about to have our third and then more, I suppose I don't know what I'm saying, but we're about to have even more
things to talk about.
Because
and
for Star Wars,
even more references for me to completely go right over my head.
We're gonna have Visions, and then we're gonna have Boba Fett, and next year,
Book of Boba Fett.
We will have The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan and Andor and I think Disciple.
Is Ahsoka?
Maybe Ahsoka and Lando.
Oh Jesus! Now, how close is the Book of Boba Fett to The Mandalorian season 3? Do you know? Has that been said at all?
I don't. I know they only recently, like past month or two, started production on Mandalorian season 3. The sort of impression that I got was that they were kind of gonna make them back to back. So like,
to be honest, Mandalorian is one I'm really interested in, so I don't really want to wait super long for that one.
Yeah,
because I'm really interested in Mandalorian stuff. I just like Pedro Pascal's Gingerin, or whatever his name is.
It's Din. Why do you always call him Jin?
Well, at this point, I do it to piss you off. But before, I legitimately just said it every time. As most things I do, I just do it to bother you, my man.
So
there's no gaslight in the street.
I think it'll be like early next year.
Ooh, that's good enough for me, man.
I think that there's a good chance that Mandalorian season 3 will be the first thing after Book of Boba Fett. Oh,
hey, I like the sound of that.
Maybe not like maybe not literally like the next week kind of thing, but
like
that was the
within the next month. Because there might be a Marvel gap if there's no Moon Knight. I'm not taking into this. I saw something. We can actually make a Star Wars, but I think
we're probably set for Star Wars.
Yeah, the quick little thing is that, as you know, Oscar Isaac is Moon Knight. He'll be playing Moon Knight, and the villain of that is played by Ethan Hawke.
Oh, okay.
Now, I saw this. So I don't know how recent this interview was taken, but apparently, I think it was Ethan Hawke who said this, that he lives like 3 houses down from Oscar Isaac. Like he lives pretty close to him. And Oscar just asked him if he wanted to be in Moon Knight. He was like, "Hey, I'm doing Moon Knight. Do you want to do Moon Knight with me? I could probably talk to some people and we could figure that out." And he was like, "I don't care. Yeah, sure. Let's do Moon Knight." Are you looking up right now?
Yeah.
If you're gonna talk, don't so close, far away from the mic.
Do you know? Has it been said who he's supposed to be?
I don't know who he's supposed to be. I think he's the villain.
It says Ethan Hawke is basing his Moon Knight character on David Koresh. Ooh.
I don't know Moon Knight. I'm not too familiar with Moon Knight's villains besides like Catholicism.
Villain? Catholicism?
Well, because he worships a
Moon Knight.
Because he worships the moon god, so any other religions would probably be against him because they worship different gods.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying Catholicism is his villain. I'm sorry, I didn't know what
you just didn't.
I was like, he's like the opposite of Catholicism. Are you thinking of
paganism?
Daredevil?
No, I don't like Daredevil, remember?
Yeah, this doesn't... Yeah, I know. I got nothing. It just says he's basing it off of David Koresh. I was going to say, like, that's kind of an interesting choice, David. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm sure it'll be fine. Like, usually, like, Moon Knight's one and only significant, like... I mean, because he's one of those... He's like a D-tier character?
Yeah.
He's not the type who has a super deep bench. His arch nemesis is Bushman, usually. Or is he Bushmaster or Bushman? Yeah, it's Bushmaster.
Good Bushman.
Oh, no, it is Bushman. Maybe it's both. Maybe that's like his...
He's Bushman the Bushmaster?
Maybe, no, I guess it's just Bushman, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, in any case,
I think Bushmaster Bushmaster is the villain from Luke Cage Season 2. I think that's what I got going on. But that guy is traditionally black, so like I was like, oh, is that? But it does not seem like that's going to be him. So yeah, I don't know. This could just be a Mercer character, because I wouldn't know. I consider myself to be like a pretty significant Moon Knight fan, actually.
I would not.
It's not a super tough thing to do because there's not all that much Moon Knight to even
consume
read and consume. So like, there's like 8 of us. And I don't know who Ethan Hawke would be describing here, but it sounds like he's not Bushman, which is probably for the best because you don't need to be whitewashing a character for Ethan Hawke
for a fucking Moon Knight show.
I thought before you said this, I thought the thing you were gonna say was that there was leaked pictures of him.
Oh, were there? I didn't know that.
Have you seen this? Okay.
No, I have not.
So this is the only one. It's just this picture.
Let me see.
So we can take a look there. You can zoom in if you'd like. I think it looks a little iffy. I'm not gonna lie.
I agree. It's there's a lot of folds.
There's too much texture.
Yes,
right? He's traditionally pretty smooth,
so smooth, like Moonlight,
like
even.
Yeah. So now I will say, like, I think this could very easily be, say, like an early suit.
Yeah, that he has, and then he like sleeks
like
out.
An evolution. Yeah. I think it could easily be that. It also, this could be like early, like, you know, an finished kind of. God knows the state of this, so you know it could look better in post. That happens a lot. These pictures get leaked of different superheroes in their costumes, and then like in the movie with all the effects and everything, it looks infinitely better. So I don't know. I think that looks a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. The other thought I had is that it could be one of his sort of different looks. I don't know if you're familiar with like Moon Knight's whole.
Yeah,
one of his whole thing is that he's got like multiple personalities.
Yeah, he's got dissociative personality disorder.
Yeah,
much like Shallan.
Yeah, so he's kind of like, I guess Moon Knight is Batman. Like Moon Knight is just Marvel's Batman,
but like actually crazy. Like,
yeah, but actually crazy. But in the sense that he's got all the like he's like the same kind of power set and the same kind of like gig for the most part, the same kind of modus operandi, and like he's got the moon copter and he's got the moon rings and he's got the different costumes that he puts on. He's got
one distinct difference though is that he wears all white so he can be seen at all times, and Batman wears all black to be like to seem bigger than he is.
But it's also the same thing though, because Batman's like, I do it to scare them, and Moon Knight's like, I do it to scare them. Because it's like you see me coming and I'm not even afraid.
Yeah,
but yeah, so he's got multiple costumes, right? He'll have like an armored suit. He'll be wearing an all-white business suit sometimes.
Oh yeah, with the mask on with the half moon.
He's probably got a karate chop action suit.
A crescent moon, I guess I should say.
He's probably got a scuba suit, a magnet suit, I don't know.
Space suit.
Yeah, there's probably Space Moon Knight.
Bunny suit for Easter.
But the one that kind of reminds me of is that he's got, in one particular comic, he's like, comes up against some ghosts. Some ghostly spirit type foes.
Individuals.
And he goes to fight them, and he can't because they're ghosts, and he like just punches through them, and they beat him up.
Can't punch a ghost.
And so
I've tried.
Then he goes and he goes into his artifact room and gets all his artifacts, and he like lays himself with like an ancient like sort of like bird helmet thing, like mask, and he's got like a bunch of talismans and a bunch of ancient magical Egyptian cloaks and bullshit. And he just like loads himself up. And so he can just beat them all up. He can just, like, he does just ultimately fist fight them. But because he's got all his magic garb he can just do it. He can hit them.
One thing I do, the only comic I've ever read that has Moon Knight in it is a character, I believe is a Hulk comic perhaps? Mm-hmm. Someone attacks Las Vegas. And at this point in time, Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme. It is Dr. Voodoo.
Brother Voodoo?
He's Dr. Voodoo now because he's Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, okay.
And so he does a cool ritual where he just stabs Moon Knight in the chest to take his blood. He's like, all right, I got these cards. And he goes, hey, Moon Knight, come here. And he just stabs him in the chest. He goes, oh my God. He goes, bop. And then he does like a big spell and he fixes everything with his like the Eye of Agamotto to boost his powers. And Moon's like, dude, why the hell did you just stab me? He's like, I need your blood, my guy. Like, it's all right. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
There's a great comic panel where him and the Punisher go at it. Yeah. Where he's like, how's your fake god? He goes, good. How's your dead family?
Yeah, they have an interesting relationship. There's like a comic from like the 80s, I want to say, called Punisher Moon Knight Blood Brothers, where they're like hanging out, and then like more recently they kind of come and go, like how friendly they are. In one of the more recent runs, they like run into each other in Mexico because Moon Knight's there to beat up cartels and Punisher's there to beat up cartels.
Well, he's there to kill cartels.
Oh yeah, and then like there's like one from around like the Civil War kind of time period where Moon Knight's trying to be better, sort of thing, and he's like, Frank, you're literally just killing so many people. Like, you're just killing them all. Like, because he's trying to not kill people anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's trying to
they got
perform himself.
Vibe going on. Like I said, I like Moon Knight. I've read a fair bit of.
I know there's a lot of those. There's like older like panels people take and they like edit the text.
Yeah,
it's like he's hunting for Dracula. He's like, come here, Dracula, you big fucking nerd.
Yeah, I don't know why people do that with Moon Knight.
Some people think they're real.
Yeah, they've convinced it because it's the only thing they've ever seen of Moon Knight.
They're like,
oh, he wants his money.
Yeah, he's like, where's Dracula? Like, don't call here. It's the Avengers Tower. Dracula's not here. He's not on the Avengers. Oh, I'll find. And then, or sometimes there's one where he gets like knocked down and he gets up and he just goes, let's get this bread. Like, of course he didn't say that. This comes from like 1985. No way they said, let's get this bread in 85, my man.
It's like the ones where they'll edit it and they'll be like, this Batman comic's so old that, you know,
Boner
meant a different. Yeah, I've seen that one.
I think isn't that real though?
Some of them are real and some of them aren't. Like this is what I mean.
The Boner one I think is real. There's like one where it's like,
this comes from a time
when stiff dick men are talking to, like, and then Iron Man's like, maybe you just need a stiff dick or whatever.
This is from a time period where we're calling someone
a bitch boy meant they were just a good pal of yours, and they'll just call each other a bitch boy.
Yeah,
it's like what?
It'd be like Joker's just running around calling people boners or something, and it's just like that's not real.
Well, speaking of leaked photos, because we were talking about Moon Knight leaked photos, there's been a leaked photo from Thor: Love and Thunder of Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher.
Oh yeah,
where he's just covered in like white paint.
Neat.
It's real strange, and I saw a quote. You know, Christian Bale's such a highbrow method actor, and that he actually lost a bunch of weight and like did a lot of training, and he also killed actual deities to prepare for the role.
That's great. Do you know which ones?
Probably just the Catholic God.
Just God. That'd be cool. That'd be great.
No, but I actually am. I think I got to read that comic so I know anything about Gore.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of all this. We've been rambling a little for the last section here, but how much is it? But I think probably, we'll probably talk about all this stuff as we get closer.
But with that, I think we're going to end the episode for this week. As always, this was the Ack Attack, J and Z. You can find us at Twitter at AckAttackJazz, AckAttackJAZ, and then our Gmail is our Twitter handle at gmail.com. So AckAttackJazz@gmail.com. Our logo, as always, was done by friend of the show, Jeffrey Gonzalez. You can follow his art account on Instagram at inkocean.jpg and his Redbubble to purchase his art. I think Redbubble does like every product you can think of. They do mugs and shirts and whatever, what have you. So with that email and the Twitter, tweet at us what you like about the show, what you want us to talk about, how you want to talk about it. If you hate the show, tell us, and we'll block you, maybe. Email us, tell your friends. Please tell your friends, because right now I'm the only person listening to it. Maybe Colin. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube. Every episode of the show goes up on YouTube. If you're already on YouTube, hey, thanks for stopping by. Subscribe. Tell your friends. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. And as always, we wrote it, we produced it, we built all the sets. Goodbye for now.
See ya.